Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. So this is the sketch that we're going to be working on when we do our technique retake. And on Tuesday I used a memory box die with some gilded flakes and some glitter. Well, on this one we're going to be using a memory box die, but we're going to be doing embossing. So I'm showing you the package here. I cut out 3 of these die cuts with the ornaments and snowflakes, and what I'm going to do here is create sort of like a handle for these to sit on while I emboss it. This is one way to do it, so that way you don't have to worry about the tweezers being in the way of the embossing powder. You can cover it completely and then just heat it up, and then you would just pull it, from the little handle you created. Now, one of mine actually popped off, but I was able to hold it in such a way that I could heat it up, the first part at the bottom, and then turn my hand around and heat up the top part. Now, I did the first 2, and then I wanted to show you on the last one. This is all you would have to do. If you're using the tweezers, you cover up everything that you can, and then heat up, right? And then at the very end, once you've gotten everything else and you let it cool a little bit, you just put some more embossing powder where the tweezers were, and it covers it right up. Now for the toppers, because with this die cut it also cuts out a top piece for the ornaments, I decided that I wanted to do those in a different color. I wanted them to stand out a little bit. So I have the Inka Dinka Doo copper embossing powder. So we're just going to heat those up, get those nice and melted, and then we're going to set them aside. And we're going to keep continuing on our embossing. So for our title, which I use the word family, I'm just heating, putting it through the Versamark ink, and then using this time the Ranger Superfine Detail Gold. Now on that one, I started heating it up and my fingers weren't in the right spot, and I wound up dropping it. So that's why I had to put more embossing powder on it. And I do like the fine detail gold because it actually makes it's very smooth, the embossing powder. Now, for this frame that I had, which was from Blue Fern Studios, I had it in my stash. This is the holiday frame. I went around and decided to use the Nouveau Enchanted Gold that I have. And I am running out of this thing. I used it so much, but I just love, it's a little bit, to me it's chunkier, but I do wind up heating this one up twice, only because with the chipboard, certain chipboards, I find it soaks up a lot of the Versamark, and sometimes you have to go over it twice. So if you do it the first time and you're like, well, this looks splotchy and not very good at all, then just use the Versamark again, heat it up, and it'll smooth itself out. So now we're going to start layering on the pattern paper. Now this one I cut down 1/4 of an inch, so that way there would be a border around basically the base page. And as always, I used the score tape and then some art glitter glue. And I just tried to line it up so that way it was all even around all 4 sides. And I didn't glue anything down, but I had already prepared how I was going to lay everything out. And as you can see, I'm doing everything in squares. I know on the image that we were looking at, they had the round circle as the base. Well, for me, in the picture that I was using, because I was also changing the direction of that, I wanted it to be more square than circle. But you can definitely, follow what they have there. I'm using some scrap foil paper. I cut down, this one is like a little bit more than 1/2 inch. And No, that one's an inch. The bigger one is an inch. The smaller one is like a little bit more. It's not quite 5/8, but it's basically a thinner piece. And I just made the 1-inch strip 10 inches long, and then this one I made 9.5 inches long. And we're just going to overlap them slightly, just like in the picture. And then the next step for me, I wanted to work on the ornaments, because the way that the strings go, I didn't like it going over my photo. It actually made it look like there was something, how do I, like something was photoed wrong, you know what I mean? So I decided to put them down first and attach my threads to the back of the chipboard using the score tape. I'm just not going to take the backing off. And then we're going to do that for each one of the ornaments. And I laid down the photo to figure out exactly where I wanted to put the second ornament, which is over here on the side. And for most of the stuff we're putting down, I am using the art glitter glue, or I'm using the ATG gun, and in some cases both, because let's face it, you can never have enough, because a lot of times if you only use the ATG, a lot of times it starts pulling up after, you know, some time passes. So I want to make sure that this is going to lay down, because I'm going to wind up, I think, putting this into a frame for a friend of mine. So we're just tying a knot with some gold thread. And then I'm going around, not putting glue all over, but just trying to do some dots, and then as thin as I can, you know, on the actual ornament shape. And then laying it down and putting a little piece of tape. And then we're going to go ahead and attach our photo. Using the glue again. And then for the chipboard piece here, same thing. I don't put it on every piece of the chipboard, but I put it on enough that I know it's going to stay down, because the art glitter glue is a really strong glue. If you've never used it before, I would definitely check it out. At first, I thought it was for glitter only. I was like, why do I need a special glitter glue? Like, it doesn't make sense. Well, I learned it's good for everything. So if you get a chance, go ahead and definitely get you some. Now I'm doing what we did before, and I'm grabbing, this time I think I chose the charcoal gray. On the bottom ornament, I did start off, I grabbed a violet by accident, but I wound up just going back over it with the charcoal gray and doing more shadow to help, you know, the ornaments kind of stand out. So you can still see the pattern paper beneath it, but it's just enough shadow that it makes it all pop a little. And this is super fun. I've never, like I said, this usually isn't something that I do all the time with the pencil, but I saw with this one and the one that we did, I'll make sure to link it at the end of the video, where I first did this. It really helps give definition between the pattern paper and the gold embossing, because the gold embossing and the paper match really good, and so you can lose all of your embossing because of all that pattern paper. So once we did all that, I grabbed my Copic white and I added a little bit of water, and we did some splatter. And what's funny is in this pattern paper is kind of already distressed with white spatter, but I wanted to add some more. And then I took some black gesso, added some water, and did splatters with that as well. So here we have close-ups of the layout itself. The main thing that I like about sketches and using them for a lot of the projects, whether it be cards or layouts, is that they give you inspiration. You can follow it exactly if you're timid or unsure, or you don't want to step out, you just want to follow what they give you, that's fine. That's what sketches are for. But they can also inspire, you know, and that's what we use today. Okay, so make sure that you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And here at the end, just click on one of these links if you want to see any of the previous retake videos that we've done. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.